Valerie Bertinelli has long been one of America's sweethearts. At 65, she continues to stun the public, not just with her youthful appearance, but with the power of her honesty, resilience, and spirit. She has lived a life in full view of the public eye, from the bright lights of sitcom stardom in the 1970s to the raw vulnerability of her most recent memoirs. Valerie's story is one of transformation, pain, healing, and self-discovery. Born in an era when television was just beginning to reflect changing social dynamics, Valerie emerged as the girl next door that everyone adored. She embodied charm, humility, and warmth, but behind the smile were the layers of a woman who, like many others, struggled with body image, self-worth, heartbreak, and loss. Now, as she embraces her mid-60s with unfiltered candor and grace, Valerie Bertinelli proves that aging isn't something to fear, it's something to celebrate. Whether it's her early days playing Barbara Cooper on One Day at a Time, her high-profile marriage to rock legend Eddie Van Halen, or her more recent career as a best-selling author and Food Network favorite, Valerie has always managed to stay relevant, admired, and deeply loved. Her story is not simply about fame, it's about finding strength amid adversity and using that strength to empower others. This video is an in-depth look at the real Valerie, the actress, the wife, and the woman who, at 65, is finally learning to love herself. Prepare for a journey that will surprise you, move you, and yes, leave you gasping. Valerie Ann Bertinelli was born on April 23, 1960, in Wilmington, Delaware, to Nancy Carvin and Andrew Bertinelli. Her father was a General Motors executive of Italian descent, and her mother was of English heritage. As one of 5 children, Mark, David, Patrick, and the late Gregory, Valerie experienced the unique dynamics of a large, close-knit, and deeply traditional family. But hers was not a static upbringing. Due to her father's career, the Bertinelli family moved often. From Delaware to Michigan, from Louisiana to Oklahoma, and eventually to California, Valerie's early years were filled with a constant sense of motion. Though these frequent relocations posed challenges for forming long-term friendships, they also instilled in her an ability to adapt, a trait that would later serve her well in the entertainment industry. Valerie was a sensitive and observant child. She often found herself gravitating toward the arts and performance, seeking both refuge and expression in the worlds she could create through acting. She attended Granada Hills High School in Los Angeles after her family settled on the West Coast. It was here that Valerie's life would take a pivotal turn. Her interest in performing was supported early on. After attending the Tammy Lynn School of Artists, a respected acting school in Los Angeles, Valerie caught the attention of talent managers who recognized something magnetic in her presence. She wasn't just another pretty face, she had a sincerity and a spark that made her stand out. Her training and innate charm would land her the opportunity of a lifetime while she was still just a teenager. At the age of 15, Valerie auditioned for a role that would catapult her into stardom. The legendary television producer Norman Lear was casting for a new sitcom titled One Day at a Time. The show, which focused on a recently divorced mother raising 2 teenage daughters, was groundbreaking in its portrayal of modern American family life. Valerie was cast as Barbara Cooper, the younger of the 2 daughters. The show premiered in 1975 and quickly became a cultural phenomenon. Valerie's portrayal of Barbara was refreshing, funny, and real. Audiences fell in love with her wide-eyed innocence, sharp comedic timing, and natural chemistry with co-stars Bonnie Franklin and Mackenzie Phillips. Overnight, Valerie went from a relative unknown to one of the most beloved teen stars in America. But fame came at a price. Valerie found herself suddenly thrust into the public eye, her every move scrutinized by fans and media alike. She struggled with the pressures of looking perfect and staying thin, expectations that were especially cruel for young women in Hollywood. Though she was widely adored, Valerie privately battled insecurities about her weight and appearance. Her sunny smile often masked a storm of self-doubt. Still, she was grateful for the opportunity. One Day at a Time ran for 9 successful seasons, ending in 1984. During that time, Valerie not only grew up on television but also learned the ropes of the industry. She developed a reputation for being professional, kind, and easy to work with, a rare trifecta in the entertainment world. Outside of her acting, Valerie also became a popular cover girl for teen magazines. She was often featured alongside other young stars of the era, including Scott Baio, Sean Cassidy, and Leif Garrett. For millions of young viewers, she wasn't just a television character, she was a role model, someone to emulate and admire. Despite the glamour and fame, Valerie's experience was far from perfect. She watched friends and co-stars, including Mackenzie Phillips, struggle with addiction and personal turmoil. Valerie herself remained grounded, thanks largely to her strong family support and a sense of discipline instilled by her upbringing. But the insecurities and self-doubt were always lurking beneath the surface, emotional threads that would follow her well into adulthood. As One Day at a Time soared in popularity, Valerie became a fixture of American pop culture. She appeared on talk shows, attended red carpet events, and was invited to exclusive Hollywood parties. But beneath the gloss of celebrity, she faced the unique challenges that come with growing up in front of an audience. Valerie was, by all definitions, a teen idol. But unlike many of her contemporaries who reveled in the attention, she often felt uncomfortable with the pedestal she was placed on. She didn't see herself as the perfect girl next door that fans adored. In fact, she often felt like an imposter, playing a role both on and off screen. The pressure to stay thin intensified as the show gained success. Studio executives, media outlets, and even fans frequently commented on her weight, which would become a sensitive and recurring issue in her life. No matter how successful she was, Valerie often felt like she was falling short in terms of appearance. During this period, Valerie became known not only for her acting but also for her poise and grace under pressure. Her interviews were articulate and thoughtful, revealing a young woman who was introspective and deeply caring. She wasn't caught up in scandals, didn't frequent tabloids for wild behavior, and remained dedicated to her craft. By the early 1980s, Valerie had outgrown her teenage image. She was ready to explore more mature roles, but Hollywood wasn't always ready to let her evolve. She found herself pigeonholed, often offered parts that were similar to Barbara Cooper. This frustration would later influence her decisions to pursue different types of projects and eventually reinvent herself beyond acting. In 1981, at the age of 21, Valerie met someone who would change her life forever: rock icon Eddie Van Halen. Their connection was instant, passionate, and unexpected. While Valerie was America's wholesome sweetheart, Eddie was the wild, charismatic lead guitarist of one of the biggest rock bands in the world. Their relationship would become one of the most talked about love stories of the decade, and one of the most complicated. As Valerie navigated her early 20s, she stood at the intersection of fame, love, and personal growth. She had achieved the kind of success most people only dream of, but her internal world remained complex. Fame had given her everything, and also made her question who she truly was. In 1980, while Valerie Bertinelli was still a household name thanks to her role on One Day at a Time, she met the man who would transform her personal life, Eddie Van Halen. Their worlds couldn't have been more different. She was the wholesome girl-next-door sitcom star. He was the electrifying lead guitarist of the wildly popular rock band Van Halen, famous for their hard-partying lifestyle and iconic hits. The introduction came through Valerie's brother, who was a big Van Halen fan. Valerie attended a Van Halen concert and was invited backstage, where she and Eddie met. The chemistry was instant. She was captivated by his charm, talent, and vulnerability, while he admired her groundedness, intelligence, and warmth. Their attraction was immediate and mutual. Just 8 months after they met, Valerie and Eddie were married on April 11, 1981, in a star-studded ceremony in California. She was only 21 years old. The wedding was splashed across magazines and gossip columns, with fans marveling at the union of rock and sitcom royalty. It was a fairy tale on the surface, but the reality was much more complicated. Eddie's battles with substance abuse began to surface early in their marriage. Years of touring, fame, and the relentless demands of the music industry had taken their toll. While Valerie loved Eddie deeply, she soon realized that loving someone struggling with addiction required constant patience, pain, and strength. She found herself walking on eggshells, trying to support her husband while still keeping her own life intact. Despite the turbulence, there were moments of genuine happiness. They welcomed their only child, Wolfgang Van Halen, on March 16, 1991. Becoming a mother gave Valerie a new sense of purpose. Her love for Wolfgang was unconditional, and she became fiercely protective of him. She hoped that their family life would stabilize Eddie, but his demons ran deep. Throughout the 1990s, Valerie stood by Eddie through several stints in rehab and multiple health scares. She tried to keep their family together, often sacrificing her own needs in the process. But over time, the emotional strain became overwhelming. She later admitted that her own coping mechanism was food, turning to emotional eating as a way to manage the stress of her husband's addictions and their strained marriage. By the early 2000s, it became clear that their relationship could not survive the chaos. Despite their deep love, they separated in 2001 and finalized their divorce in 2007. Their bond never fully broke, and their story, though painful, remained one of mutual respect and enduring affection. Behind Valerie's radiant smile was a woman silently battling some of the most painful emotional burdens. While the public saw a confident actress and loving mother, Valerie was struggling deeply with her identity, self-worth, and health. Her marriage to Eddie Van Halen had taken a toll, not just emotionally but physically. The pressure to maintain her appearance in Hollywood was relentless. From her teenage years onward, Valerie had been told, implicitly and explicitly, that her body needed to look a certain way. Casting directors, producers, magazine editors, and even well-meaning fans often commented on her weight. It was always there, lurking in the background like a judgmental shadow. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, Valerie's weight became a focal point for tabloids. She was constantly photographed, scrutinized, and analyzed, with headlines shaming her for gaining pounds during her personal struggles. What the world didn't understand was that Valerie's emotional eating was tied to years of trauma, her efforts to hold together a crumbling marriage, care for her son, and deal with the reality of being married to an addict. She admitted in later interviews and memoirs that she frequently ate to numb the pain, to feel a moment of comfort in the chaos. "I was using food as a drug," she would later write. "And no one could see how sad I was inside." Her self-esteem plummeted. She would stand in front of the mirror, criticizing herself harshly. Fat, disgusting, failure. These were the words she used to describe herself. The emotional abuse she inflicted on herself became more damaging than anything said by critics or the media. She lived in a cycle of guilt, shame, and denial for years. But Valerie never stopped trying. She read books on self-help, attended therapy, and began looking inward. Her desire to heal and grow was real. These years laid the groundwork for the transformation that was yet to come, one that would reshape not only her body but also her soul. After One Day at a Time ended in 1984, Valerie could have disappeared into the footnotes of Hollywood history. Instead, she fought hard to reinvent herself in a world that wasn't quite sure what to do with her. In the 1990s, she became a reliable figure in made-for-TV movies, which were booming at the time. She starred in a wide array of projects, from thrillers to family dramas, including titles like Murder of Innocence, Poncho Barnes, Two Mothers for Zachary, and Saved by the Bell, Wedding in Las Vegas, playing a completely different role from the sitcom of the same name. Though not all of these roles earned critical acclaim, they showed Valerie's range and willingness to take on complex, emotional characters. She also joined the CBS drama Touched by an Angel in the later years, playing the recurring role of Gloria. The show gave her a new platform to connect with audiences and was one of the more meaningful projects of her career. On Touched by an Angel, Valerie found comfort in the show's spiritual themes and messages of forgiveness and grace, ideas she was exploring in her personal life as well. These roles helped her build a more mature image and distance herself from the teenage persona of Barbara Cooper. Still, Hollywood's obsession with youth made it hard to land leading roles as she aged. Casting agents were often more interested in newcomers, and Valerie found herself in a career limbo. Instead of giving up, she doubled down on personal growth. She explored other creative passions and spent more time focusing on motherhood. Though the entertainment industry is notorious for discarding women past a certain age, Valerie refused to let herself be erased. The 1990s were less about fame for her and more about rebuilding her confidence, her self-awareness, and her inner strength. It was a quiet reinvention, but an essential one. Valerie learned to be more selective about her projects, more patient with herself, and more honest about what she truly wanted in life. In 2007, Valerie Bertinelli stunned the world by becoming the new face of Jenny Craig, the popular weight loss and lifestyle program. It was a bold move, putting her lifelong struggle with weight in the spotlight. But Valerie wasn't looking for more fame. She was searching for freedom. Her partnership with Jenny Craig was more than a business deal, it was a public declaration of war against her insecurities. Valerie embarked on a strict diet and exercise routine, and over the course of several months, she lost nearly 40 pounds. She documented her transformation openly, appearing in commercials, interviews, and even a People magazine cover wearing a two-piece bikini, a defiant moment for a woman in her late 40s who had been publicly shamed for her body most of her life. But it wasn't just about looking good. For Valerie, the weight loss represented something much deeper, the ability to reclaim control of her narrative. She no longer wanted to be defined by shame. She wanted to inspire others who felt trapped in their own skin. However, Valerie was also honest about the struggles that came with the transformation. She admitted that the pressure to maintain her weight publicly brought a new form of anxiety. And while she appreciated the attention and praise, she knew that true self-worth couldn't be measured by a number on the scale. She released her first memoir, Losing It, and Gaining My Life Back 1 Pound at a Time, in 2008. The book became a New York Times bestseller and resonated deeply with women across the country. In it, Valerie detailed her lifelong battle with food, body image, addiction, her own and Eddie's, and self-hatred. She didn't hold back. She offered vulnerability instead of polish. And the public loved her for it. This chapter of Valerie's life wasn't just a physical transformation, it was the beginning of her emotional and spiritual awakening. Despite the optimism of the Jenny Craig years, Valerie's personal life was still facing enormous challenges. Her divorce from Eddie Van Halen had been finalized in 2007, after several years of separation. While the end of their marriage was emotionally devastating, it was also necessary. They had grown in different directions, and Valerie realized she could no longer carry the weight of his addiction. Even in divorce, their connection remained strong. They co-parented Wolfgang with mutual respect and love, and Valerie often expressed admiration for Eddie's musical genius, even as she mourned the parts of their life that addiction had stolen. The complexity of their relationship defied Hollywood stereotypes. They weren't bitter exes, they were family. In the years that followed, Valerie worked to build a new life for herself. She continued acting, authored a second memoir, and focused on her health and parenting. She began dating again and eventually found love with Tom Vitale, a financial planner and entrepreneur. Valerie and Tom married in 2011 in a small, intimate ceremony in Malibu. For a time, it seemed like she had found her happily ever after. Tom provided emotional stability and encouragement, and the couple even ventured into business together. They blended their families and supported one another's ambitions. It was a fresh chapter, and one Valerie embraced with hope. But life, as always, had more twists in store. Even as she rebuilt her life with Tom, Eddie's health continued to decline. He had been battling cancer for years, and in 2020, Valerie received the heartbreaking news that Eddie was nearing the end of his life. Tom Vitale entered Valerie's life when she needed healing most. They met in 2004 through Valerie's brother, and their connection was immediate but cautious. Valerie was still grappling with the emotional fallout from her marriage to Eddie, and Tom had been through a divorce of his own. Their relationship unfolded slowly, built on mutual understanding, shared trauma, and quiet strength. Over time, Tom became a grounding force in Valerie's life. He wasn't from Hollywood, didn't chase the spotlight, and offered a calm, measured presence that contrasted with the rock and roll chaos of her past. He was also a loving stepfather to Wolfgang and a trusted business partner in various ventures. Their wedding in 2011 was a celebration of second chances. Valerie glowed with joy, and the couple seemed genuinely happy. They traveled together, shared family holidays, and appeared in public as a united, content couple. Valerie spoke often of how Tom helped her feel safe and appreciated, not for her fame or figure, but for her heart. For nearly a decade, they built a life that looked solid from the outside. But as time went on, cracks began to appear. The challenges of blending families, running businesses, and personal differences began to mount. By 2021, after 10 years of marriage, Valerie filed for legal separation. In 2022, she finalized her divorce from Tom, calling it part of her ongoing journey of self-liberation. She later revealed in interviews and writings that the relationship had become emotionally challenging and incompatible with her need for growth and authenticity. Still, Valerie chose to honor the good times. As she stepped into single life once again, she did so with clarity, strength, and an unwavering commitment to self-love. In 2015, Valerie Bertinelli embarked on a new career path that would introduce her to an entirely different audience. She became the star of Valerie's Home Cooking on the Food Network. The show was an immediate hit. Valerie's natural warmth and infectious enthusiasm for food made her a beloved television host. The show focused on simple, comforting dishes that reflected her own upbringing and family traditions. She shared recipes, cooking tips, and stories, making viewers feel like they were invited into her kitchen. The transition from actress to cooking show host surprised some but felt natural to Valerie. Cooking had always been a passion and a source of joy, one that helped her through tough times. On camera, her genuine personality shone through, and audiences quickly embraced this new side of her. Valerie's Home Cooking earned several Daytime Emmy nominations, with Valerie winning awards for Outstanding Culinary Host. The show ran for multiple seasons, solidifying her status as a respected culinary personality. Her success on Food Network gave Valerie a platform to talk openly about health, wellness, and body positivity, topics that had been part of her personal journey for decades. It also allowed her to connect with a younger generation unfamiliar with her acting work, proving her timeless appeal. While Valerie's cooking show presented a cheerful, confident image, she continued to grapple with private struggles. Aging in Hollywood, particularly as a woman, remains fraught with pressure. Valerie spoke candidly about her ongoing battles with body image and self-esteem. She noted that although she had lost weight and looked healthier, the internal dialogue was harder to silence. "The mirror can be a cruel judge," she said in interviews. She also shared how social media had a dual effect. While it connected her to fans and supporters, it also exposed her to negative comments and unrealistic beauty standards. She learned to set boundaries and surround herself with positive influences. In her memoir Enough Already, Learning to Love the Way I Am Today, published in 2019, Valerie explored these themes deeply. The book chronicled her struggles with shame, grief, and the desire for acceptance, not just from others but from herself. It was a raw, unfiltered account that resonated with readers worldwide. Her honesty helped destigmatize conversations around mental health, eating disorders, and the often invisible pain many face behind closed doors. One of the most heartbreaking chapters of Valerie's life was the death of Eddie Van Halen in October 2020. Eddie had been battling throat cancer for several years, a fight that took a heavy toll on him and their family. Though divorced, Valerie and Eddie maintained a close relationship, united by their love for Wolfgang and a deep bond forged over decades. She was by his side during his final days, offering love and support. In interviews and her memoir, Valerie described the profound grief and gratitude she felt. Losing Eddie was like losing a part of herself. Yet, she also celebrated his musical legacy and the joy he brought to millions. Her reflections revealed the complexities of their marriage, the love, the pain, and the respect that endured despite their challenges. Following years of marriage, Valerie's relationship with Tom Vitale ended in divorce finalized in 2022. The separation was amicable but marked another major shift in her personal life. She publicly acknowledged that the end of the marriage was difficult but necessary. The couple had grown apart and faced challenges that no longer aligned with their needs. Valerie emphasized that the divorce was part of her ongoing journey towards self-discovery and happiness. She expressed no regrets and focused on healing and moving forward with grace. As Valerie entered her 60s, she embraced resilience as a defining feature of her life. She spoke openly about the importance of therapy, journaling, and mindfulness practices that had helped her cope with past traumas and current challenges. She encouraged women of all ages to cultivate self-compassion and reject society's narrow definitions of beauty and success. Her social media presence reflected this ethos, often sharing inspirational messages, personal milestones, and candid moments. Valerie's willingness to be vulnerable inspired many fans, creating a community of people committed to authenticity and kindness. Valerie's memoirs, Losing It, 2008, and Enough Already, 2019, are pivotal parts of her story. Through these books, she invited the world into her inner life, revealing her battles with food addiction, grief, love, and self-acceptance. Her writing is celebrated for its humor, honesty, and emotional depth. She uses her platform not only to tell her own story but to give voice to countless others facing similar struggles. These memoirs solidified her legacy as more than an actress or cooking show host. They established her as a role model for courage and authenticity. Today, Valerie Bertinelli lives unapologetically as her authentic self. She embraces singlehood, independence, and joy. She has publicly challenged diet culture, promoting body positivity and self-love. Valerie's life is a testament to reinvention and resilience. At 65, she continues to pursue passions, cultivate relationships, and inspire others with her unwavering spirit. Her message to women everywhere is clear: age is not a limitation, it's an opportunity. Valerie's role as a mother remains central to her identity. Wolfgang Van Halen, now a successful musician in his own right, shares a close, supportive bond with his mother. She often credits motherhood as her greatest joy and motivation. Their relationship is built on mutual respect, love, and understanding, reflecting the healing Valerie has cultivated in her own life. Wolfgang's career and personal life benefit from Valerie's grounding influence, and she takes pride in watching him forge his own path. Valerie Bertinelli today is a woman transformed, not just in appearance but in spirit. She embodies grace, strength, and compassion. Her journey from teenage starlet to seasoned actress, devoted mother, wife, and culinary star is a testament to resilience. She has weathered fame, addiction, heartbreak, and societal pressures with honesty and courage. People may gasp when they see her now, not just because of her youthful glow, but because of the powerful woman she has become. Valerie Bertinelli is living proof that beauty and strength deepen with time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring stories about your favorite stars. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more amazing content.